The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Kingman, Arizona, on your new fire apparatus, job number 32085. Please utilize this job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. Let's get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Before we start, I do have a few images of your apparatus, and then we'll get started down in the front bumper area. Starting with the front bumper, underneath the front bumper you'll find two open-ended tow hooks. Moving up onto the face of the bumper, you'll find on the passenger side your electronic siren and PA control speaker. Moving to the center, you'll find your mechanical siren. And moving underneath the bumper, on the driver's side is where you'll find dual air horns. Moving up onto the bumper housing, you'll find a D-handled hatch where it will gain access to your front bumper loads. Moving up onto the body itself, on the outer edges, you'll find your turn indicator marker light. And just inside of that, the headlight cluster housing the high and low beam on the outer edge and the high beam on the inside. Up from that cluster, you'll find a turn indicator and an emergency light, red and blue. And then as we move up to the seamless windshield, you'll find 3 windshield wipers. All the way up to the brow of the apparatus is where you'll find 5 running lights. And on the outer edge, you'll find your mirrors, convex being the lower portion and flat being the upper portion. Moving up to the top in the center, you'll find a forward-facing floodlight. And all the way up onto the top or roof of the apparatus, you'll find your emergency light bar. Looking down at the front bumper, the hose tray in the open position, you'll find on the passenger and driver side your 1.5 inch discharge. Also on the side of the apparatus, you'll find a drop-down hinged section which allows the hose to be pulled outward on each side of the apparatus. Just behind the bumper, you'll find a side-facing warning light. Here are some close-ups of those images we just talked about: headlight cluster, turn and emergency light cluster. Looking overhead, this is your light bar and front windshield. Let's move to the side of the apparatus. First, your vehicle is equipped with keyed door locks. In addition, with at all points of entry, grab handles for ease and access for firefighter access. On the passenger side and the driver's side, you'll find a bullet-style side-facing camera, which will display inside for the operator. Just on the back side of the door, you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light, and then just above that, you'll find a tank indicator. This is a digital light bar that indicates the level of water in your tank. We'll move up to the very top. We'll talk about some of the compartments here. First, let's start in the upper left-hand corner with your backboard storage location. Moving on to the actual body, you'll find a turn knuckle for your adjusting your LED pole light. And then we'll start with some of the functions within the crosslay section. The removal of these 2 red straps gains access to the crosslays. We'll start now with the pump panel. At the very top, you'll find a warning label regarding that only trained personnel should operate this vehicle. This is your Husky foam system instructions and also specifications just to the right of that. You'll also find some warning labels here regarding not riding on the side of the apparatus and the hazards associated with that, and that there is possible entanglement from those hoses coming off the side of the vehicle and to be cautious of that. There's also a warning label regarding pressurized caps and the associated hazards while removing them. And then we also have your minimum maintenance schedule, which is a plaque just next to the large diameter discharge. Let's take a look at the very top. This is your Pierce maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250 PSI. The GPMs are on the left-hand side of this plaque, and then your RPMs on the right-hand side. Job number in the upper left-hand corner. This is your minimum operation maintenance plaque. Just beneath that, you'll find your Watrous pump information plaque. This is the type of pump that you have, which is a CSU. It also provides the transmission model and also serial and ratio number 2.46 and a maximum of 150 psi discharge. Let's start in the upper gray area here. This is your master intake and master discharge. Just beneath that, you'll find your vacuum and pressure test gauge ports. Let's move to the left-hand side down in the next area, this red module. This is your Husky Foam System 3. This is the on-off system button, which is in green. And then just beneath that, you'll find a digital readout. This is the giving the percentages of your foam. And then beneath that, you'll find an increase or decreasing on that foam percentage. There are instructions on this plaque, and also it has a prime button located in the orange position here. And then to the right, you'll find your system status. There's information just above on what your system status lights are indicating. Just to the right of the foam instructions is where you'll find your foam level indicator for tank A. As we move to the right, you'll find your electric prime. There is also a caution label here regarding operating the primer for more than 1 minute continuously may cause damage to the motor. Moving to the right, this is your pierced throttle pressure governor. There is a green indicator and the light must be present if you're going to operate the throttle. Moving to the right, you'll find in red the idle switch, in orange preset, then you'll find in yellow the increase or decrease of the throttle. And moving all the way to the left-hand side of this module is the menu and silence button. Located in the center of the green is the mode, whether you select pressure or RPM mode. The light will illuminate at the very base of the green indicator. And then at the very bottom, we have additional engine information regarding battery, water temperature, and oil pressure. To the right, you'll find this black speaker. This is the audible speaker regarding your throttle pressure governor, and there is also a silence button, which is in blue. Moving to the right, you'll find a set of switches. First, you'll find this indicator. This is not a switch. It's a light indicating that your pump has been engaged properly. And as we move down the set of switches, we'll find the driver's side scene lights, passenger side scene lights. You have cab flood, body flood, and real rewind. A couple images here of a couple of the valves. You can see that they are all color-coded, clearly labeled. Moving just to the left, you'll find once again that warning label regarding pressurized caps and the associated hazards, and be cautious while removing caps that are under pressure. Down to the right, you'll find your water level and air horn. The water level is just above that in the blue section. Moving down to the lower section here, you'll find your shoreline inlet. This is an auto eject Q-small plug. It's a 20 amp outlet. And then you have your air supply and air supply outlet. Down at the base, you're going to find your discharge drains. Moving to the right of that, you'll find a 2.5-inch auxiliary side inlet. This is for the driver's side. And then as we move further to the right, you'll find this warning label regarding foam failure hazards and that you should not mix brands, concentrations, or types. Inside the pan door, you'll find first this yellow foam lever. This is horizontal for operations, and to fill, move to the vertical position. Above that is your foam drain, which is a turn, not a pull. Just underneath this location, you'll find two drains. First, the foam pump intake drain, and also the foam pump discharge drain. Moving up onto the top in the dunnage area, your vehicle is equipped with an extend-a-gun. This will allow you to raise your deluge higher than the cab location. There are also some danger and warning labels here. I would advise you to seek that information out in your owner's manual. As we look at the reel, you'll find on the right-hand side, this is the tensioning spring for tensioning the amount that the hose reel will play out or rewind. And at the very top, this will be the location if you need to manually rewind. Once again, in the dunnage area, you'll find your tank water fill and also foam A. This is the location for your hydraulic oil fill. This is for your hydraulic foam system. As we look from the dunnage area forward of the cab, you will find some warning labels that this is a non-walking area. And as we look to the rear section at the hose bed, you'll find your adjustable hose bed dividers. Moving now to the side compartment, we'll find the battery charging system here. This is when plugged into shore power, indicating that you have a 20 amp outlet here. This is when plugged into shore power. Moving just in front of the rear tires, you'll find bottle storage locations. There is also tethers associated with those bottle storage for safety. The silver cap is your diesel fuel cap. moving the lever down to the position to cover the silver cap allows you to gain access to the DEF, which is a 4.5 gallon tank. We're now midsection of your apparatus, just over the rear wheel. You'll find a pegboard with SCBA storage locations. As we move to the rear compartment, you'll find additional adjustable shelves and LED lighting. Moving to the rear of the apparatus, you will find some warning labels here regarding entanglement, and then also some advice in not riding on the back of the apparatus while it's in motion. Down in the lower left-hand corner is where you'll find some switches here. This is your hose bed lights. This is a cup switch which allows you to turn on the hose bed lights before going aloft. On the right-hand side of the vehicle is where you'll find your 24-foot and 14-foot extension ladder, and also long tool storage. In the center compartment, you'll find an adjustable shelf and LED lighting. Just above that, you'll find your backup or reverse camera, and also grab rail for going aloft. There are two pre-connected discharges on the top of your hose bed, one on the right side and also one on your left side. Let's now move down to the compartments on the passenger side. This is the rear passenger compartment. You'll find two SCBA bottle storage locations in addition with an adjustable shelf. We're just over the rear tire where you'll find your pegboard for tool storage. And as we look into those compartments again for bottle storage, those straps are there for safety. As we move to the very base, just in front of the rear tires where you'll find your exhaust, there is extremely increased temperatures here, and be cautious as to where you park your vehicle. As we move to the midsection of your apparatus, once again you will find a warning label regarding riding on the side of the apparatus is not advised, and also an entanglement hazard because of those hoses in the crosslay. Just to the set of switches here, you'll find a air horn and also a rewind switch. And then just above that, you'll find your cab lift. The cab lift is a red protected switch, and it also has an activate whether you choose to raise or lower the cab. There are instructions on it. Moving down to the next section is where you'll find this pan door. This gains access behind the pump panel. It also is the access point for a relief valve. Moving to the right, you'll find your large diameter intake with the Pierce logo American flag eagle. And to the right, you'll find your green large diameter discharge. Moving to the right, you'll find a 2.5-inch discharge, and then once again you'll find that warning label regarding pressurized caps and the hazards that are associated with it. Moving down to the very bottom section, you'll find drain valves across the bottom. They're clearly marked and color coded, and just underneath the large diameter discharge you'll find your 2.5-inch auxiliary inlet. Let's take a look inside the compartment door next to the large diameter intake. This is the relief for that intake, and there is also an adjustment set screw on the outer edge of it. Here are a couple close-ups of those things that we just talked about. First, your discharge drains. This is the cab lift. You can see the instructions on the right to raise and instructions on the right to lower. Let's go ahead and move now to the cab of the apparatus on the passenger side. We'll start in the upper corner, first starting with the side-facing floodlight. Just beneath that you'll find an LED tank indicator for your water tank. And then just behind that you'll find your LED pole light. As we move inside the cab, you'll find this access point. This is for gaining access into the engine compartment where you can do your daily checks for oil and transmission. Here's a general view of the rear seats. There are two fixed center seats with two outer edge fold down seats. As we look overhead, you'll find your headset system and also the push on and off red and white lights. Underneath the two seats located in the center, you'll find additional storage. Just behind the operator seat, you'll find your federal siren control module. And as we look to the outside of the apparatus, this is the passenger side, you'll find that bullet style camera side facing for the operator's view. As we're now in the cab of the officer seat, you'll find a fill location for your windshield wiper, and you'll also find these candy cane style stickers indicating that there are connection points behind. Up on the dash, you'll find two 12-volt barrel style access points, in addition with controls on the left-hand side. Starting up at the very top, you'll find your air horn, mechanical siren, and siren brake. Moving down underneath the officer seat, you'll find additional storage here. And these are those candy cane labels that I was referring to earlier. They regards to spare wiring behind the panel. On the right hand side, you'll find the fill location for your windshield wiper fluid. And then overhead of the officer seat, you'll find several different modules. We'll talk about those next. First, starting on the right hand side with the switches for your front scene lights, driver side scene lights, and passenger side scene lights. There are also 3 future switch locations if needed. Moving to the left, you'll find a digital readout for your speedometer. Moving left of that, you'll find your unit radio. And then mounted in the center, you'll find your control module for your intercom system. Let's look overhead of the passenger seat and also the driver. You'll find once again those push on and off red and white lights, your AC unit, and also a pull string for your air horn. You'd also like to point out this red puck style light. This is indicating, if lit, not to move your apparatus, that you have a compartment or a door ajar. As we move to the driver's seat area, you will find at all points of entry those warning labels, but I would like to direct you down to the very base where the right ankle of the operator would be to this yellow placard. This is manufactured by Pierce for the city of Kingman. This has a date of manufacture, job number. It also has the type of chassis, gross vehicle weight ratings, your VIN number, and also all of your fluid capacities, components, and fluid types. You can also find your VIN number located on the A pillar of the driver's side. Just underneath the seat, you'll find your auto charging system. When plugged into shore power, this will activate and charge your batteries. As we look to the left side of the steering column, you'll find your master battery switch, your engine, transmission, and ABS diagnostic port, and then also a set of switches for ABS engine, DPF regen, engine diagnostic, and your regen inhibit switch. Moving up on top of that area, you'll find your off-road traction switch and some future locations. And to the right of the column, you'll find your pump shift. This is from road to pump and from pump to road. There are 2 green indicators, engaged, I should say pump engaged and OK to pump. Those 2 indicators need to be on prior to exiting the cab for pump operations. Moving to the right, you'll find your main mirror and also your convex mirror. And then as we move to the left-hand side of the column on the dash, you'll find your ignition switch and start switch. And then just to the right, you'll find this small set of switches. EM stands for Emergency Master. That will activate all of your emergency lights at once. And then also your headlights and panel dim switch. Moving to the center console area, you'll find your transmission, oil, DEF level, and water temperature. In the center, you'll find your tachometer and speedometer. To the right, you'll find your voltage, fuel, front and rear air, and also diagnostic information above and below the speedometer. To the right, you'll find your OK to engage the high idle switch and an indicator for that. Just a general view here of your dash area. Let's go ahead and start in the upper corner in the center, where you'll find your control module for your PA speaker and also your siren control. Moving down, you'll find your mechanical siren, and to the right of that, you'll find a 12-volt barrel style access point. And then further to the right, you'll find your windshield wiper on-off and also push to apply fluid onto the windshields. Located in the center, you'll find your climate control. The red areas for heat, blue for AC, and the gray areas your heat and defrost. Moving to the center, you'll find that intercom system which we previously discussed. As we look to the set of switches, you'll find an engine on-off switch for your engine brake, and you'll also find a siren, horn selector, siren brake, high beam flash, load manager, and mirror heat. The engine brake will allow you to turn on or off the engine brake. Moving to the right, you'll find this push to release the parking brake or pull to apply the parking brake. This is your parking brake. To the right, you'll find your Allison transmission pad with a digital readout. Over the position of the driver, you'll find this placard. This is your height, 8 feet, 11.25 inches. Your length at 32 feet, 6.75 inches. And your gross vehicle weight rating at 42,000 pounds. If you make any adjustments, please revise this placard.
Moving to the right of that, this is overhead of the operator. You'll find emergency master, your roof light, front warning, side warning, lower rear warning, and upper rear warning. When any of these have been selected to the on position, you will see the green indicator for each switch illuminate. As we move to the right of that first set of switches, we'll come to the front flood, driver's side scene, passenger side scene, driver's rear scene, cab flood, and rear flood. Once again, when activated, the green light will illuminate. Located directly in the center, you'll find your monitor system for your cameras. And as we look to the center, you'll find your Pierce seatbelt information. Red indicating someone is in the seat and not belted. Green indicating they're in the seat and belted. Looking to the rear of the apparatus, these are the 4 seats inside the cab. Congratulations, Kingman, Arizona, on your new fire apparatus, job number 32085. If you have any questions as to the content of this video or further questions, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.